what I was looking to talk about was the fact that chemicals can play a factor in being part of the environment. So basically, when you look back to the 1990s and the 2000s, when the peace process just came into full effect, people had a sense of liberation, a sense of freedom. They needed to fulfill and need to be free after all the trauma and all the conflict for so long. But I believe when they got into this society, they couldn't really fucking fathom where the society was going, and all of a sudden rave culture sprung up, ecstasy was widely available, and you could say that culturally, rave music had a big part to play in that, but it was more to do with the troubles. I'd say if you looked around at other parts in Europe in the mid 2000s, late 90s, rave culture wouldn't have been as prevalent, but what definitely was prevalent in Derry was the wounds from conflict from the past. Now, what you got to understand about post-traumatic stress disorder, that's the illness that manifests from traumas from the past, is actually an illness that can happen on a societal scale. So if your government's been fucking you over and screwing you over, and there's a lack of community between Protestants and Catholics, you're going to find that people will gravitate to a drug that brings unity and connection and empathy, because these are the things that's missing from the society at large. But what I will say is it goes back again to substances having biological markers, and the society themselves having to adjust to those biological markers, which are set in environment, meaning the troubles, conflict, kneecappings, blah 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 blah. But mainly what I would like to get across is that if you look at our generations gone by, if you look at society as a whole, we can look at the 90s and we can go, alright, so rave culture and post-traumatic stress had a lot to play in the society that happened then. So maybe that's why people use the ecstasy. But then we have to go to the question of, why are people using drugs now? Certain drugs like opioids and fucking I don't know, like numbing. A lot of drugs that kids are using now seem to have a numbing effect, whereas ecstasy almost could have been an optimistic hope for empathy to join, to get connection, whereas now that connection's sort of been lost, and we can probably blame the people in Stormont for that. Societal problems trickling down onto the youth who aren't aware of the hierarchy that goes on in Stormont, but it's affecting them. So I would say a lot of the dreams from the troubles have passed, and there's not going to be a reconciliation because the shit's still going on. So maybe a lot of youth now are using Valium, using heroin. It's a real problem now in Derry. Never was before, but now it is. Using Valium, heroin, opioids, anything that numbs them from the society as a whole. Another thing I want to talk about is implicit memory. Implicit memory is related to what I just talked about before, and it's also related to the guy I talked about in an earlier video, I think it was Mental Health Log 2 or 3, about a guy called Gabor Mate. Now, Gabor Mate is a well-respected physician, as I said before, and he talks about a thing called implicit memories. Now, implicit memories is where you remember, you are aware as a child of traumas the parent has went through. They might not communicate it, they might not even tell you, but in the fucking genetic wiring of their brain has sent signals to you in utero when you're in the womb that the word you got to be aware of has certain dangers, and that can give you psychological constructs. They help you cope with the word outside of the womb. So even the troubles that your mother and your father has went through, being on the rap, being fucking on dairy, whatever they've went through, even the troubles that they've went through have fucking been passed down. But implicit memories is what Gabriel Mate talked about, and he said, it's in your genetic makeup what generations before have went through. So even though you might not experience it, you will still feel it prevalently. when I was on the Mark Patterson show doing a fucking talk about me, the art I do, which is also trying to raise awareness on this sort of stuff, he said to me, I was talking about it, saying, well, you know, fucking the Troubles this and Troubles that, and he was going, sure, Troubles, you only caught the tail end of the Troubles. And at the time I fucking buckled because I was on BBC Radio 4 and that's my first time getting interviewed on the radio. I was going, oh fuck's sake, alright then Mark, I know what I caught the tail end of it, that's what I said, I caught the tail end of it. But you know, I didn't catch the tail end of it because if we look at Gabor Mate and the scientific data, it's a trauma that's still living on deep to this day. Even though, you know, fellas come up 18 years of age that never lifted a petrol bomb, they're affected by the Troubles. So that's why substance misuse plays a big part in the addict's mind. Or the societal mind and whole. But it's not so much that that they're wee dickheads and they take drugs and they're just wee hoodie bastards, but it's more a fact of they're in a fucking profoundly fucked up sick society. But anyway, that's it. Keep her lit. Till next time, get another good one done soon.